Hiya! Welcome! This is Minidisc Monday number 71, and today we're going to look at the sophomore album, the second studio release from a Scottish band, namely the Glaswegian four-piece, who made it big in the late 90s. Here is their arguably breakthrough album, Travis's The Man Who.
It's Sunday, but everything's in my head won't go away. The radio is playing all the usual, and what's so underwhelming anyway? Cause my side is outside, the right side's on the left side. There's a wanting to reach you now, but I'm not. That's not you. It's good to know that you are home for Christmas. It's good to know that you are doing well. It's good to know that you are hurting.
So as I say, the second studio album from Travis came a couple of years after Good Feeling, their debut. I did review that in an old Minidisc Monday episode, so please go back into the MD Monday playlist and have a look at that if you've not seen it yet. But stay with me here for this review of The Man Who. Many years since I listened to this album, many years since I bought it. Maybe I would say, third time I've probably heard this in full. Before I talk about the tracks within, we will have a look at the packaging. Really nice condition case, this. Of course, you get the usual superfluous and barely noticeable, only under certain lights, scuffs and very minor scratches, but case is holding nicely together. Nice little booklet inside as well, with profile shots of each band member and some presumably Scottish scenery, you'd have thought, given that they're from Scotland. The photography would have been taken in Scotland, but I'm not actually sure. Some lyrics there on the next 4 pages, 5 pages actually, and then the last page, or the inside back page, has some thanks and some production and credits. As for the disc itself, you know the drill by now. We've got the album artwork stuck on that side. Flip it over, track listing, we've got a record label logo and some copyright bump as well. So The Man Who was kind of a slow burner of an album. It came out in 1999 in sort of springtime, I think. There would have been the release date earlier on during the clip. And it really became more of a big seller and ended up getting to number 1 and being one of the best-selling albums, certainly of that period of the late 90s. It was certainly a departure from Good Feeling for the most part. Good Feeling, very sort of more heavy, proper kind of standard Britpop album. This is really one of your early forays into post-Britpop, you know, that kind of subgenre that acts like Keane, Coldplay, and a band who I personally am a fan of, Embrace. They would kind of all dominate that scene along with Travis, but I mean, it was this album that made Travis really, for a little while, one of the biggest bands in the country really. And we'll talk about the song that really kind of introduced the general public, the Great Unwashed, to Travis when we get to it on this album. But there is 10 tracks listed, although there is actually 11 tracks on The Man Who. Let's talk about them. Track number 1 is the lead single from the album, Writing to Reach You. I think Travis pitched the singles perfectly from this album, and Writing to Reach You was a good first choice for a release from The Man Who. Weirdly, I think the verses sound better than the chorus. The chorus is catchy enough and it's pleasant enough, but I think the verses sound, to my ears, or my mind anyway, better. But good song, always enjoyed that. Track number 2 is The Fear. And this is where we kind of start as we mean to go on, really. Writing to Reach You was fairly gentle and certainly a lot less rocking than a lot of what you would have heard on Good Feeling had you ever listened to their first album. But The Fear is kind of gentle, more acoustic-y, as is As You Are, track number 3, really. Nothing wrong with either of those tracks, just a little bit kind of uninspiring for me. Number 4 is Driftwood. That would have been the second single from the album. Another very memorable song, nice kind of lilting guitars in it, and another good choice for a single, really. You know, as I say, they chose just about perfectly, I would say, for the 4 singles from this record. Number 5, The Last Laugh of the Laughter. Number 6 is Turn. I think it's a toss-up between that and Writing to Reach You, which are my favourite singles from the album, actually. Turn might just take it, to be honest. It is, until we get to the hidden track at the end, probably the heaviest of all 10 credited songs, really, which is not saying an awful lot because the album is very sort of soft rock, erring on the side of, you know, light string-laden pop, really. But Turn is good. Fran Healy's vocals, he's got some good range to him. He kind of goes into a high register on some tracks quite a lot. And for some singers, that would possibly start to grate a little bit. I think because this album doesn't outstay its welcome, Fran Healy just about gets away with it, really. Certainly compared to other kind of similar era band leaders and singers that I can think of. Mentioning no names, that guy out of Keane, whose voice just grates on me instantly. Anyway, track 7, Why Does It Always Rain on Me? Now, this was the song that I think, because it was just like a big kind of, oh, this is great, we love this, sort of instant hit at, I think, Glastonbury 1999, and that boosted album sales for The Man Who, and then it got to number 1, sold an absolute bucket load. I believe, according to my research, 3.5 million copies of this album have been sold to date. Weirdly, I think it's the weakest single. It's not bad, it's good enough, but I always feel it's a little bit kind of weak. The chorus, Why Does It Always Rain on Me? Is it because I lied when I was 17? It sounds a little bit garbled at times. It's like Fran Healy's trying to fit too many syllables into a couple of lines there. But it's okay, and a lot of people would completely disagree with me and say, hey, that's their best single ever. It's the one that made them big. It was their first top 10 single. I believe it just scraped into the top 10. And of course, it helped boost sales of this album and turn Travis into the certainly Britain and probably Europe beating act, if not world beating band that they became. Number 8 is Love, spelt L-U-V. Nice bit of mouth organ on this, and also some good strings. There's a nice string arrangements throughout most of this album, really. Number 9 is She's So Strange. Nothing wrong with that either. And then number 10, what you think's the final track, Slideshow, kind of starts and ends with you hearing someone starting a car and opening and closing the car door and things like that. That was a pretty good track as well. All of this really is pleasant without being overly exciting. Turn is a great single. Writing to Reach You's very good. And I quite like Driftwood as well. Everything else is kind of pleasant, nice sort of almost background music, but nothing that really excites me to any great degree. So you think Slideshow ends, but if you skim on the album for a couple of minutes or more, you will hear track 11, the uncredited track Blue Flashing Light. And funnily enough, for a hidden track that your layperson wouldn't even realise it's on the album, they just turn it off during the silence after Slideshow ends. It's like really kind of early Travis or Good Feeling era Travis, really. It's like a proper sort of more balls to the wall Britpop or indie song, really. Kind of at odds with the rest of the album. Perhaps that's why it was a hidden track. They must obviously have liked it enough for it to be on the album, but felt it should be uncredited or hidden because it kind of seems incongruous compared to the soft rock, string-laden acoustic pop rock of The Man Who. For a bonus track, it was one of the better bonus tracks that I've heard. Quite scathing lyrics in it from my recollection, from presumably Fran Healy. I don't know who the lyricist is in the band, whether it's Fran or one of his band members. So that was The Man Who. Do I recommend it? I do, to a point. I think it's nice. I think the singles, all 4 of them, range from good to excellent. I think this is an album that's not going to offend anyone particularly if you put it on, but by the same token, it's not going to absolutely excite you. Do I like it better than Good Feeling? I don't think I do, to be honest. Good Feeling is an album that has certainly some soft rock elements on it, but it has way more of kind of angry or slightly aggressive Travis anyway, whereas they're really leaving that period behind for the vast majority on The Man Who. And I do have the 3rd Travis album to review. I have that on Minidisc, and we will get to it eventually in this series. But I would say, yeah, give this a go if you like acoustic post-Britpop, good string arrangements, interesting lyrics, the sort of cozy album really. Obviously the artwork on the front suggests something that's quite wintry, but it's just not altogether mind-blowing, this one for me. But that was Travis, The Man Who, and this was Minidisc Monday number 71. Thank you all for watching, and I want to say special thanks, as always, to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, and please, as always, join me again in 2 weeks' time for another album review right here on Minidisc Monday. Cheers, everyone. See ya!